You're listening to the Keep the Weight Off podcast with Dr. Angela
and Marshall,
episode number 116.
Welcome to the Keep the Weight Off podcast, where we bust all the dieting myths and discover not just how to lose weight, but more importantly, how to keep it off. We go way beyond the food, and we use science and psychology to give you strategies that work. And now your host, Dr. Angela Zechmann.
Hey, everyone, and welcome to today's podcast. How are you today, Marshall?
I'm doing great. It's a beautiful day out and,
Yay.
Yeah.
We love these May days. Well, I'm flying high because I ran in a race this weekend.
That's awesome.
And I know it was only 5 miles. It wasn't like, it's called the Capital City Marathon. So what those of you who are from other parts of the country and the world don't know, may not know, is that Olympia is the capital of Washington State. And so that's why they call this the Capital City Marathon. And it's this huge event that happens every year here in Olympia, the third weekend in May. And people come from all over the country to run it because, let's face it, Olympia is one of the most beautiful cities in the country. And running out on the country roads out here is just really, really amazing. It's a great course.
Yeah, it's really popular with marathon. Mm-hmm.
So Olympia holds this marathon every year, the third weekend in May. And it's so interesting because, the full marathon course actually runs right almost past my house, which is way out in North Olympia. So it's like these runners are way the heck out north of Olympia. Now, I want everybody to know I have never run a marathon. I would never even attempt doing that, but I have done the 5-mile race before. And that was 20 years ago when I was 41 years old. And I actually did really well. I was shocked at how well I did. And so I always wanted to do it again. And I don't ever really want to try and beat that time, but I kind of would like to, just do a really good pace. And so it's been on my New Year's resolution list for the past 3 or 4 years. And every year I don't get started training soon enough. And then last year I got COVID in April. So that was the end of that. So this year I'm like, I'm going to do this. And I did something different. Okay. So you ready to hear what I did that was different this year?
Yeah, I want to hear what you did that was different.
Yeah. So I learned in my training as a life coach that anytime we set a goal for ourselves to do something new or scary, that our primitive brain is going to put up a fight about it. And it's going to be a serious fight, and that we should expect our primitive brain to be putting up a fight. So our brain is going to think up all kinds of obstacles to put in the way of us achieving our goals. And so at the beginning of the year, I set this goal to run this 5 miles, and I just expected my brain to put up a fight about it. So I was just listening to it. So when you expect your primitive brain to put up a fight, achieving a goal becomes much easier because it actually becomes more enjoyable because the challenge became, for me, one of learning how to manage all of the excuses that my primitive brain was putting in my way. So I want you to envision me in the beginning of my training, and I'm supposed to run 2 miles. And my brain is like, 2 miles? Why do you want to do that? And then the next couple of weeks later, a few weeks later, it'd be 3 miles. And then it'd be 3.5 miles. And my primitive brain would say, whoa, 3.5 miles for your long run this week? Don't you think that's a little too far? How are you going to do this? You ran 3 miles last week. What if we just ran 3 miles again this week and called it good? This is how my primitive brain would work, right? And then my primitive brain would say, well, and maybe this whole idea of running 5 miles really isn't for you anyway. You're 61 years old. Why is it important to run 5 miles? I mean, really, who cares,
Oh, yeah, I can imagine so anytime I've ever thought about running or walking, walking even for that matter, my primitive brain says why walk when you can drive?
Exactly.
So I can imagine what you were going through for the whole training process. So
yeah,
I totally understand.
Yeah. So now that I know how the brain works, I just listened to that part of my brain and I said, you know what, primitive brain, I really appreciate that you're trying to keep me safe and protected, but I'm not going to expand and evolve if I keep listening to all these excuses. Sorry. I just said, sorry, primitive brain, I'm going to do what I plan to do. And I'm going to keep envisioning how great it's going to feel when I cross that finish line and they take my picture at the end. And I'm going to feel strong and exhilarated and proud. That's what I want. So we're going to run 3.5 miles and let's get going. So that's what I did. And I just kept envisioning myself crossing that finish line. And especially in all of the long runs that just felt like they were never, ever going to end, I was just tacking on more distance with each of the long runs. And I just kept envisioning myself crossing that finish line. And it was so interesting because the journey became a lot more fun. The question was always, how well can I manage my primitive brain that wants to hold me back and keep me safe? And in the end, it's just keeping me stuck. So what I discovered over the course of this last few months in training for this is that, yeah, I'm perfectly capable of managing all of these excuses. Does that make sense?
Yeah, this is great. I could see where you're going with this.
Yeah. So what I want all of our listeners to understand is that it actually doesn't even matter what your goal is. The idea is that you just pick something and you follow it through and you practice managing your primitive brain in the process. It's as if you're teaching yourself that you're perfectly capable of doing hard things. The only thing that really makes things hard is the primitive brain. It just throws all of these excuses in our way. And so really, in order to do what needs to be done to achieve any goal, all we have to do is to learn how to stop listening to excuses that our primitive brain puts in our way and just stay focused on our goal. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Makes perfect sense.
It sounds so easy, right? But it's not.
Right.
So there's this profound sense of accomplishment that comes from learning how to manage the BS excuses and just do what we plan to do to move ourselves forward in our goal. And that's what makes the journey so much more enjoyable. So for me, as I was running yesterday, I was in the middle of this race and it was hard. I mean, I'm not going to say it was easy. For me, it was really hard. And it was so interesting because when we got to the finish, to the end of the race, and I saw that big blue balloon thing that they put over where the race ends, and I thought about all the times that I had envisioned this finish line, and I just sprinted towards the end. It was so much fun. It was like, and then I just was
really
cheering
cool.
for myself, and I was like, you did it, girl. You managed your primitive brain and you ran the whole race. I only stopped a little bit to drink some water. That was the other thing. I wanted to make sure I ran the whole thing. I didn't want to have to stop and walk. And so I just kept, anytime my brain said, you need to walk, I would say, no, you can run a little slower if you need to, but you can't stop and walk unless you're drinking water, because I can't drink water and run at the same time. That's too much. But so anyway, it was just, it was a ton of fun. It was exhilarating and exhausting at the same time. And, we may have some listeners who have run way more than 5 miles. And what I want, or may have some listeners for whom running is like never, ever going to be a thing for them. And what I want you to understand is that the actual challenge isn't what matters. It's like, it doesn't matter whether you're out to run a marathon or a half marathon or 5 miles, or whether you're a swimmer, or whether whatever your challenge is. It could be a physical challenge. It could be some other kind of challenge. What the challenge is does not matter. What matters is that you are aware that your primitive brain is going to put these excuses in your way and is going to constantly be challenging you to quit. Okay. And learning how to manage that. So for our listeners, for those of you who want lasting weight loss, you can make this journey fun for yourself too. And so what I would encourage you to do is to pick a goal, like something challenging that you know that your primitive brain is going to throw excuses about. Something that you know that with focus, you can accomplish, say in 30 days or in 60 days or in 90 days. Something that will help you to learn a skill that will serve you in the long run. Okay. So let's say, as an example, that you don't know how to cook. This is really common. A lot of people have no idea how to cook. And one of the reasons that people struggle with weight is because they never really learned how to cook. And so they're just eating stuff that other people have made. And a lot of times it's fast food or whatever's convenient, right? So let's say that that you don't know how to cook and you're always looking for the easiest and fastest way to solve your hunger at the last minute, and you decide, hey, you know what? I've been listening and I understand that if I want lasting weight loss, it's going to be important for me to learn how to plan and cook meals at home and have food ready to go so I'm not at the mercy of my primitive brain at the last minute. Okay, so let's say that's your goal. So this skill of planning and cooking regular meals is truly one of those skills that's key for you if you want lasting weight loss, right? So make sense, Marshall?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So just thinking about this, what are some of the excuses the primitive brain is going to come up with, like right off the bat, when it comes to planning and cooking regular meals?
Oh, God, for me, like, I don't have time, or I'm too tired when I get off of work to come home and cook. You know, I don't know how to cook that well, actually.
Yeah.
Or also, like, and it takes a lot of time to prep meals, you know, like meal prepping. You know, I don't want to spend an entire Sunday prepping meals. That's, you know, this is all the kind of shit that, you know, my brain tells me when I'm doing, you know, when I'm thinking about meal prepping.
Or how about I'm not organized? I could never be that organized.
Oh, right.
I don't have any recipes that I like. You know, so there's just all of these excuses that the primitive brain is going to come up with. And the funny thing is, if you're not careful, you're going to just accept this as the truth. You're going to say, oh, this is just true. You know, this is true. I don't like to cook. It takes a lot of time. You're just going to accept it as the truth. But here's where the fun comes in. None of these excuses are true. They're just excuses that the primitive brain is using to keep everything the same. And so you just tell your primitive brain, I hear you, but I got goals, right? And you make a plan. So perhaps your plan is to start by cooking 2 meals a week, let's just say. So you're going to do this incrementally, which is the best way to achieve any goal, is to be incremental about it. Remember, I didn't start off running 5 miles. I started off running 2 miles, and then I built on from there. So let's just say that your plan is to start by cooking 2 meals a week, or maybe it's even just 1 meal a week that you're cooking. So let's say you tried 2 new recipes this week, and then you add in a new recipe every week for 8 weeks. Now you have 10 recipes that you've practiced and you know how to cook, okay? So let's say your eventual goal is to be cooking 5 meals a week by the end of 3 months. And every Sunday, when it's time to start looking at recipes and planning your grocery list and going grocery shopping, every Sunday, you listen to your primitive brain telling you there are better things to do. This is too much work. I don't have time. And this is what my primitive brain said to me, like, why are you doing this run? It's stupid. Who cares? You know? And you just say, I hear you, but I've got goals and I'm going to see this one through. And you imagine how you're going to feel when you come home from the grocery store with all this healthy food and a plan for the week, and how you're going to feel when your knees and hips don't hurt anymore and your waist is shrinking and you have better energy and better mobility, and you can wear the cute clothes that are relegated to the back of your closet. You know those ones, or maybe they're in a box in the guest room or out in the garage somewhere. we put our thin clothes in all kinds of places, right?
Yeah, but we never get rid of them.
We never get rid of them, and there's a good reason. So you envision this future self that feels so much better, just like me envisioning myself crossing the finish line at the end of this race. So you're always talking to yourself and you're reminding yourself that overcoming all of these objections and excuses of the primitive brain, this is the secret to achieving your desires. Okay. And this way the journey becomes fun, because each time you overcome an objection, each time you do what you said you'd do, each time you listen to that resistance and you say, no, I'm going to choose what's best for my future, you can congratulate yourself for a job well done. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it really does feel so great. I mean, it is so worth it. It really is.
Yeah. And so it's like every step along the journey where you recognize this obstacle showing up and you overcome it, you get to have a little mini celebration and you get to think about the future you that you're creating. So in this way, the journey to lasting weight loss becomes a journey of self-congratulations rather than a journey of self-flagellation. do you see it?
I like how that rhymed.
Congratulations or flagellation, right?
That's cute.
Maybe I'll coin that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Most of us have been dieting for decades, and we're beating ourselves up all along the way. So instead of doing it that way and beating yourselves up for what didn't get done, what you're doing is you're shifting it. Okay. So we're shifting it. We're congratulating ourselves every time we overcome an objection from our primitive brain, and we're doing what we said we'd do. And it's a really powerful way to achieve lasting health, and you'll have a ton of fun in the process, right?
Yeah.
So
it's true.
I know. It's just like, how much fun could it be? Like, it's hard and it's fun at the same time. It's a challenge. So I just want everybody to know that it is indeed possible to set a goal and achieve it, but you have to learn how to manage this primitive brain of yours. And you have to recognize what it's up to. You have to say thank you to it for wanting to keep you safe. And you have to say, and I got goals. I got a future I'm working towards creating for myself. I envision it. I see it clearly, and I am going to do what it takes to get to my goals. And I'm going to have a fun time doing it. So that's how you make the journey fun. Marshall, do you have any comments or questions about any of that?
No, I think that you said that beautifully. This is a good one. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So always remember that this journey should not be done alone. We talked about that last week. Like, this whole idea of trying to do weight loss all by yourself is crazy. Like, you got too much against you. So if you want to have a powerful group of people supporting you, come and join us in Empowered Weight Loss. All you got to do is go to journeybeyondweightloss.com/yes. And you can sign up for Empowered Weight Loss, where you're going to get not just help like this, but all kinds of help on all aspects of your weight loss journey. We're here for you. I want to see everybody healthy and happy and vibrant and doing what they want to do and achieving their goals. So join us, and we will see you on the inside. Take care, everyone, and have a great week. Bye now.
All right. Goodbye, everybody.
Hey, if you really want to lose weight and keep it off for good, your next step is to sign up for Dr. Angela's free weight loss course, where you're going to learn everything you need to get started on your weight loss journey the right way. Just head over to journeybeyondweightloss.com/free course to sign up. Also, it would be awesome if you could take a few moments and write a review on iTunes. Thanks, and we'll see you in Journey Beyond Weight Loss.